Indonesia, a nickel plant blast kills dozens.
Authorities say a flammable liquid ignited and causing nearby oxygen tanks to explode. More details on this later in the news. Good evening, I am Gianna Llanes.
I am Nina Brichielago Flores. This is Mata ng Agila International. Now for the headlines. Philippines is ready to host multi-nation patrols and exercises in the West Philippine Sea. DOH detects COVID subvariant JN1 in the Philippines. Sudan civilians pick up arms against RSF troops. China records the longest cold wave in modern history. And country music band Dixie Chicks member Laura Lynch dies at 65.
Las Vegas, Nevada.
España, Paris, France,
United Kingdom,
Washington, D.C.
London, Bureau, Papua New Guinea,
In New York,
Washington, D.C.
Mata ng Agila.
Mata ng Agila. Mata ng Agila International.
Trusted, connected, on point.
The Armed Forces of the Philippines, or AFP, is gearing up for increased joint patrols in the West Philippine Sea, collaborating with the country's allies in multilateral patrols starting in 2024. This move towards multilateral patrols aligns with a broader paradigm shift initiated by President Ferdinand Marcos Jr., aimed at bolstering efforts to assert sovereignty over the Philippines' exclusive economic zone. In his address during the AFP's anniversary celebration, President Marcos outlined the importance of establishing and strengthening alliances with foreign countries to enhance the strength of the armed forces. This strategic shift also comes after the AFP's experience in conducting numerous bilateral patrols in recent months.
To this end, this administration remains committed to supporting initiatives that will bolster our armed forces' external defense capabilities. I likewise enjoin the AFP to enhance existing alliances and partnerships with your foreign counterparts. Let us continue to explore so that we may forge new partnerships based on common goals, common values, and at the same time advancing the national interest.
A big-time oil pump price hike is set to take effect this holiday season. Motorists are expected to pay 1 peso and 60 centavos per liter more for gasoline. Diesel per liter, on the other hand, will go up by 1 peso and 70 centavos. Meanwhile, kerosene price per liter will increase by 1 peso and 54 centavos. According to the Department of Energy, the said price hike is due to an uptick in the United States buildup stockpile of crude oil.
The Department of Health has reported the detection of 18 cases of the COVID-19 Omicron subvariant JN1 in the Philippines, all of whom have already recovered. The JN1 subvariant is currently the predominant cause of COVID-19 infections in the United States, accounting for 44.2% of all cases. The earliest sample in the Philippines was identified through the Health Department's genome sequencing on November the 16th, with the most recent case detected on December the 3rd. However, JN1 has not demonstrated an increase in severity, and there is no evidence to suggest that it spreads more rapidly. The World Health Organization has designated JN1 as a variant of interest, just below the level of a variant of concern. Despite the lower level of significance, the Health Department urges vigilance, especially considering a 50% increase in new COVID-19 cases observed from 1,821 cases between December 5th to the 11th to 2,725 cases recorded between December 12th to 18th. Meanwhile, the agency has ensured that the current vaccines against COVID-19 are still effective against the new subvariant. The Health Department also encouraged the public to get vaccinated or receive booster shots, as well as observe minimum health protocols such as hand washing and social distancing.
The United States Department of Agriculture, or USDA, has reported that various factors, including elevated world rice prices and the aftermath of mandated price ceilings, have dissuaded Philippine traders from increasing rice imports. The USDA is maintaining its forecast for Philippine rice imports at 3.5 million metric tons from July 2023 to June 2024 as a result of the report. They highlighted that the reduced deadline for imports requiring rice to be brought in within 30 days following the issuance of a sanitary and phytosanitary import clearance is also likely to impact future import levels. However, the agency acknowledged the potential relief for importers in the form of a possible extension of lower tariff rates on rice, corn, and pork until the end of 2024. The National Economic and Development Authority, or NEDA, has endorsed the extension of lower tariff rates, emphasizing that it will be subject to regular reviews every 6 months.
The Department of Labor and Employment, or DOLE, has reported that there will unlikely be another salary adjustment for minimum wage earners nationwide in the coming year. DOLE Secretary Bienvenido Laguesma stated that they plan to let the wage increases granted in 2023 sink in first. Their focus will be on ensuring compliance with the latest wage orders issued in 2023. Laguesma noted that 15 out of the 16 regional tripartite wages and productivity boards nationwide issued new wage orders providing salary increases for minimum wage earners. The impact of these wage orders extended beyond the minimum wage, addressing wage distortions, with the only exception being the board in the Davao region, which is still in the process of deliberations and has not yet granted a wage adjustment.
The Bureau of Immigration said daily nationwide arrivals nearly reached 60,000 as the holiday season continues. A total of 51,390 arrivals were recorded on the first day of December in all international airports. The number rose to 59,541 on December 22 and 58,993 on December 23. The Bureau of Immigration Commissioner Norman Tancinco said more than 85% of passengers arrived via the Ninoy Aquino International Airport. He added that a total of 31,408 departures were recorded on December 23. The figure was higher than the 25,759 recorded on December 1. Tancinco also assured travelers that the Bureau of Immigration is ready to serve the traveling public. He said they deployed rapid response teams and augmentation teams to ensure efficient immigration processing. He advised arriving Filipinos to use the e-gates for faster immigration clearance and reminded passengers to register via the e-travel portal at least 72 hours prior to arrival or departure.
The price of fireworks may increase before the New Year's celebration. Philippine Pyrotechnics Manufacturers and Dealers Association President Lea Lapida said that the supply of firecrackers is stable, but the price may also increase. She noted that the price of sawa, which is from 500 to 600 pesos, may go up to as much as 650 pesos. Lapida underscored that the peak days for purchasing fireworks in Bocaue, Bulacan are from December 29 to 31st. Interior and Local Government Secretary Benher Abalos previously proposed a total ban on firecrackers over the attribution of being the main cause of many injuries during the New Year's celebration.
The Chinese state media accused the Philippines of repeatedly infringing on China's territory in the South China Sea. On Monday, the People's Daily, a publisher for China's Communist Party, claimed the Philippines is spreading false information and colluding with extraterritorial forces to cause trouble. The People's Daily also alleged that the Philippines has relied on the United States' support to continually provoke China. The state's newspaper argued the behavior of the Philippines is extremely dangerous and seriously harms regional peace and stability. President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. and the task force handling the South China Sea situation has not yet issued any official remarks on the report of People's Daily. Tensions between the Philippines and China have escalated in recent months as Beijing continues to claim most of the parts in the South China Sea. The Philippines has repeatedly advised China to follow the 2015 Hague ruling that struck down China's expansive claim over the West Philippine Sea. Many independent studies are saying that China is spending billions of dollars to expand disinformation campaigns around the world. Analysts also insist that Beijing's vast disinformation campaigns can be clearly observed in the South and East China Seas. The Philippine Coast Guard has expressed concern over suspected Chinese disinformation campaigns that sought to downplay China's belligerence in Philippine waters. Experts assert China cannot blame the Philippines for enhancing its old alliance with the United States to protect its territory in the West Philippine Sea. Coming up, Japan has agreed to supply Patriot missiles after ending a ban on military exports. Police in Serbia's capital are trying to contain protesting crowds. And the European Super League says football is now free. Stay tuned, Mata ng Agila International will return for more global news.
This portion is brought to you by 318 Automart. Ang ating mga mata sa mahalagang balita at impormasyon araw-araw. Ngayon ay nominado sa isang prestihiyosong parangal. Congratulations! Mata ng Agila Primetime! Nominated as Best News Program. Asian Television Awards. Ang inyong matatag, matapang, at matapat na paghahatid ng katotohanan sa bayan ay tunay ngang di matatawaran. You make us proud, Canet 25.
Ako po ang inyong katuwang tungkol sa usaping ito.
Nasa puso dapat ng Pilipino to love what is Filipino.
Kaya dapat ihayag ng saloobin.
Kahit gaano kasi karami yung doktor natin, ay kung may bayad din, baliwala din.
Paano makakabili ang Pilipino ng bigas?
Himayin ang hinaing.
Gaano karaming pera bang kailangan mo para maging masaya ka?
Alamin ang pwedeng gawin.
So I think the lesson is, pag may fake news, i-correct ka agad ng people concerned.
Sagutin mo agad. Mag-reality check tayo.
Check yun.
Check.
Check na check.
Double check.
Check the check tayo dyan.
Ang Best Public Affairs Program. And the star goes to Open for Business, Net 25.
It is a signal to the world that we are open for business.
Open for Business with Cesar Vallejos every Sunday, 9 p.m. This portion is brought to you by Robic Builders.
Welcome back to Mata ng Agila International. Japan has agreed to export its weapons for the first time since World War II. This is after a ban on military exports imposed under the Japanese 1947 rule ended. Tokyo has sent Patriot missiles to Washington in another step to remilitarization. Japan's Mitsubishi's Heavy Industries manufactures Patriot missiles under license from U.S. defense contractors Lockheed and RTX. In 2022, Japanese Prime Minister Fumio Kishida announced a 5-year military buildup in a bid to mold Japan into the world's third biggest defense spender, following U.S. and China.
Tehran's Navy has unveiled its new smart missile that can switch targets after being launched. The Iranian Navy has upgraded its firepower with the new domestically produced missiles that have a range of more than 1 kilometer. Navy Chief Admiral Shahran Irani disclosed that the Talaiya cruise missile can select complex flight plans on its way to its target. This is to achieve a surprise attack at the highest possible level and engage with the enemy. The new missiles arrived amid escalating tensions between Iran and the United States over the Israel-Hamas war. U.S. officials accused Iran of being involved in an attack by Yemeni Houthi rebels on commercial vessels in the Red Sea. Iranian Deputy Foreign Minister Ali Bagheri, however, denied the allegation. Meanwhile, the Pentagon claimed that Tehran purposely orchestrated a drone attack on a Japanese tanker in the Indian Sea.
Iran has summoned Russia's charge d'affaires in protest after Moscow, along with Arab countries, released a joint statement challenging Iran's claim to disputed islands in the Persian Gulf. This move came in response to a statement issued during the 6th Arab-Russian Cooperation Forum in Morocco, calling for a peaceful resolution to the conflict between Iran and the United Arab Emirates over the islands. Iran's Foreign Minister Hossein Amir-Abdollahian conveyed Tehran's protest to the Russian envoy, emphasizing that respecting countries' sovereignty and integrity is a fundamental principle in international relations. This marks the second time this year that Iran has called for a Russian envoy in protest over comments related to the disputed islands, and the third time overall that Iran has called a nation's envoy over the issue. Tehran summoned a Chinese envoy for a similar joint statement made with Middle East nations.
Deputy Head of President Volodymyr Zelensky's office, Andrei Sibiga, said that 6 European Union states have yet to support a declaration on security guarantees for Ukraine. Sibiga revealed that nations Austria, Croatia, Poland, Hungary, Slovakia, and Malta had not endorsed security guarantees. The senior official said Kyiv is working to receive their support. In a statement, Sibiga said, and I quote, "We're just talking about specifics, about what this or that state is good at and is willing to take on commitments in one of the frameworks of the declaration. I think that all these countries have the political will to become part of the declaration." Last September, senior Zelensky aide Mikhail Podolyak disclosed that a total of 28 countries endorsed the security guarantees, with hopes of gaining 23 more. Austrian Chancellor Karl Nehammer previously said that EU countries that remain neutral cannot support the declaration. Nehammer, although, vowed to discuss the issue in the future.
Russia's Central Election Commission has barred a pro-peace candidate from the country's presidential election. Officials rejected Yekaterina Dunsova's application to run against incumbent President Vladimir Putin. Rosel Fiaria tells us more.
Officials say they rejected the application because of mistakes in the documents. The commission says Duntsova cannot proceed to the next step of gathering thousands of supporters' signatures. She says she plans to appeal the ruling with the Supreme Court. The 40-year-old former journalist and city councilor is campaigning for peace and democratic processes. Duntsova says she is sure her supporters have no illusions about the outcome of the presidential elections, but she says she can't remain on the sidelines and do nothing. Duntsova says standing as a candidate is the last legal opportunity for citizens to express their disagreement with the policies of the current authorities. Putin confirmed this month that he would participate in the election scheduled to be held over 3 days beginning March 15th. He is expected to win by a comfortable margin. Rosel Feria for Mata ng Agila International, trusted, connected, on point.
Serbia's opposition leader vows to keep a hunger strike she began last Monday. 49-year-old Marinika Tepic is protesting what she calls electoral fraud during Serbia's December 17th elections. Julian Bukayan reports.
Tepic is not alone in her protest. 6 other opposition members have quit eating and are demanding the election results be annulled. Serbian President Alexander Vucic's party says it secured a commanding victory in the vote. But a team of international observers notes several irregularities, including vote buying and ballot box stuffing. Since Saturday, Tepic has been receiving intravenous liquids daily, but she is refusing solid food. Vučić has urged the opposition members to find other ways to protest, adding he is used to protests. Tepic says she doesn't take anything Vučić says seriously. But despite the health consequences, Tepic says she will continue her hunger strike. Meanwhile, opposition supporters protested in Belgrade, breaking windows at the town hall. Demonstrators used flagpoles, rocks, and eggs to shatter windows in the capital's main administrative building. Police quickly repelled them. Julian Bukayan from Agila International, trusted, connected, on point.
Meanwhile, an attack by the Red Tabara rebel group in western Burundi has resulted in the death of 20 people, with all but one being civilians. This incident took place on Friday evening in the town of Bugizo, near the border with the Democratic Republic of Congo, where the rebels have a base. According to the Burundi government statement, 12 children, including 5 under the age of 5, 3 pregnant women, and 5 men, including a policeman who came to assist civilians, were among the victims. 9 other individuals were wounded and have been hospitalized. Conversely, the Red Tabara group asserted that it had only killed 10 members of the security forces, with no mention of the civilians affected. This marks a second attack in 2 weeks inside Burundi by the rebels, who had not been active since September of 2021, when they carried out a series of strikes, including an attack on the Bujumbura airport.
The Sudanese Armed Forces have issued a call for thousands of young people to enlist in response to the Paramilitary Rapid Support Forces, or RSF, vying for control over the country. The RSF, perceived as a force stronger than Sudan's regular army and backed by the United Arab Emirates, has been a prominent player in the country's dynamics. Sudan's armed forces and allied groups are reportedly relying on young men with minimal or no military training to serve as foot soldiers against the paramilitary force. Recent recruitment efforts have intensified, particularly in the River Nile state, following the RSF's capture of Wad Madani, Sudan's second largest city. The River Nile state, historically a privileged region producing many of Sudan's political and military elites, is now being mobilized to counter the RSF. Recruits are motivated by the fear that the paramilitary force may attack their cities, loot their belongings, and subject women to sexual violence. The RSF is widely perceived as invaders, and the recruitment effort is capitalizing on ethnic undertones to garner support against the paramilitary group.
Global home furnishing brand IKEA warns of product delays after Red Sea attacks by Houthi group on ships heading to the Suez Canal. IKEA says they are looking for other options to ensure its products will be available to customers. A spokesperson for the furniture retailer adds that they are conversing with their shipping providers to ensure their products can be carried out safely. But supply chain research company Project 44 says avoiding the Suez Canal will add a 7 to 10 day delay to shipping routes, and items could start to be missing from shelves by February. Sources say the Houthi attacks have been increasing since the start of the Israel-Hamas war in October. Many companies were also forced to reroute their cargo to avoid the attacks.
The European Union's top court ruled against FIFA and UEFA, saying that their rules demanding prior approval for establishing a new competition, such as the ESL or European Super League, were unlawful. The court added that prohibiting clubs and players from playing in them was also unlawful. A22 Sports Management has welcomed the top tribunal's decision, saying that the UEFA monopoly is now over.
Indeed, there is big news today, and that news is that football is free. Free from the monopoly of UEFA, free to pursue the best ideas without fear of sanctions, and under our proposal, free viewing of all live matches.
A22 CEO Bernd Reichart said the court's ruling will also pave the way for the creation of a new, more exciting competition at European level, in which clubs can determine their own future.
Up next, an accident during repairs causes a furnace to explode in Indonesia. Police in Sri Lanka have arrested almost 15,000 people in a week's time. And China's capital, Beijing, has broken its record for hours in sub-zero temperatures. Mata ng Agila International will be back after a short break.
This portion is brought to you by North Luzon Express Terminal.
Aaksyon sa lahat ng problema. Walang uurungang reklamo. Re-responde anumang sitwasyon. Kung kayo po ay may sumbong, mag-text lamang po sa 0915-415-1035. Mag-email din sa responde@net25.com. Pwede rin kayo magpadala ng inyong pong mensahe sa ating pong Facebook page at Net25TV. Walang imposible at lahat may solusyon sa mga totoong certified e-responder.
Mga problemang may kinalaman sa pang-araw-araw na pamumuhay.
Ano sa palagay niyo?
Katiwalian at korupsyon sa kung saan-saan.
Ano sa palagay niyo?
Kalusugan.
Ano sa palagay niyo?
Edukasyon.
Ano sa palagay nyo?
Hanap buhay.
Ano sa palagay nyo?
Ang daming issue. Samahan ninyo sina Ali Soto at Bat P. Daza sa pagbusisi sa lahat ng yan at iba pa. Ano sa palagay nyo? Year 3 na!
Si Lydia, bago nating miyembro. Flowers for you.
Uy, si Maui maliligaw.
Ang kinagiliwang love story, nasa Netflix na.
I love you, Lydia!
Devotion. Yun lang ang gusto ko. Someone who will be devoted to me and someone that I can devote what's left of my life.
May mga bagay na dapat mong paghihirapan bago mo makuha. See you, Monday, first screening.
Catch Net25 Films Monday first screening on Netflix, starting January 1st.
At least 13 people have died after a melting furnace at a nickel plant in Indonesia exploded on the weekend. Another 38 workers have been injured, 17 of them in serious condition. Jane Kathleen Gregorio reports.
The injured are being treated at this hospital. The blast happened early Saturday morning while workers did repairs to the furnace. Apparently, a flammable liquid ignited and caused nearby oxygen tanks to explode as well. It took until Sunday morning to extinguish the blaze. The plant is owned by China-based Tsingshan Holding Group, the world's biggest nickel producer. 8 of the dead have been identified as Indonesians. The other 5 are from China. Deadly fires are not uncommon in Indonesia, a sprawling country of more than 250 million people where safety regulations are often flouted. In June, a fire at the same plant left 1 dead and 6 others injured, in another incident that has stoked concern over safety at facilities funded and operated by Chinese companies. Jane Kathleen Gregorio for Mata ng Agila International. Trusted, connected, on point.
In Sri Lanka, police have arrested 15,000 people during a week-long anti-drug operation across the country. Dubbed Operation Yuktia, or Justice, it led to the seizure of almost 440 kilograms of various types of narcotics. Meanwhile, local officials reported that 1,097 addicts have been sent to a military-run rehabilitation center. Authorities have also confiscated vehicles and property belonging to the alleged criminals. According to experts, drug traffickers are using Sri Lanka as a hub. In 2016, Sri Lanka logged its biggest drug haul after police seized 800 kilograms of cocaine. French judicial officials say a plane with more than 300 Indian passengers detained near Paris over suspicions of human trafficking will be free to leave Monday, but its destination remains unclear. Arlene Ocampo reports.
Some 303 passengers have been aboard this plane when it landed Thursday at Vatry Airport, 150 kilometers east of Paris, for refueling. The plane has been bound for Nicaragua. French authorities got involved after receiving an anonymous tip that the passengers were victims of human trafficking. After questioning them for 2 days, French prosecutors gave the go-ahead for the plane to leave. Although there is no mention of a destination, the head of the local bar association told a news conference the passengers would be flown to India. A source close to the inquiry says the Indians are likely workers in the United Arab Emirates who have been bound for Nicaragua as a jumping-off spot for the United States or Canada. The passengers stayed at the airport during the investigation. Among the group are 11 unaccompanied minors. Arlene Ocampo from Matanang Agila International, trusted, connected, on point.
Cliff divers have resumed their legendary jumps in the Mexican resort of Acapulco. They had paused their shows for 45 days after a deadly hurricane wiped out most of the resort's tourist establishments. Estela Dominique has the details.
The cliffs known as La Quebrada have been the site of high diving performances for tourists since 1934. Following Hurricane Otis, the accumulation of debris along the coast of La Quebrada made the waters unsafe for swimmers and divers alike. A couple of weeks ago, Acapulco's divers announced that they will slowly resume the shows, offering 2 schedules during the December holidays, depending on the number of tourists. These divers jumped more than 40 meters from the cliffs into a narrow channel below in what is one of the best-known performances in Acapulco. In 2021, the performance won the Touristic Excellence Award in a competition that also included European and Middle Eastern tourist attractions. And while the performances have resumed, residents of the city face challenging times. Much of Acapulco still lacks running water and many people are still missing. The official death toll from the hurricane is 50. But local news agencies claim that figure could be up to 7 times higher. Estela Dominique from Matanang Agila International, trusted, connected, on point.
Beijing recorded its longest cold wave since records began in 1951. Nanjiao Weather Station said the recorded temperature rose to above 70 degrees Celsius Sunday afternoon for the first time in days. The biting cold weather stayed below 0 degrees on December 11 and remained below that line for more than 300 hours.
我们是从广东过来的，一个土生土长的南方人，来到专程未来这里感受一下这冰天雪地的感觉，感觉还是很爽的，但是这手脚就冰，身体还是够冷的。哇的长城的美景太壮观了，很震撼，值得的，值得的。
The snapping cold wave swept through most of China's capital and other regions, which led to multiple heating system failures this month. Henan and Jiaozhou experienced heating dysfunction. Meanwhile, Puyang and Pingdingshan cut their heating systems to most government buildings and state-owned enterprises to prioritize limited heating resources for hospitals, schools, and residential buildings. The cold weather also caused issues in Beijing's city's metro system. Earlier this month, dozens of commuters with fractured bones were sent to the hospital after 2 trains collided on a busy metro line during snowy conditions. The cold temperatures also hampered rescue efforts after a deadly earthquake this month in the northwest Gansu province.
India bans the use of anti-cold drug combination in children below the age of 4. The government's drug regulator says the prohibited medicine comprises chlorpheniramine maleate and phenylephrine, which is used to treat the common cold. It also instructed the drug should be labeled properly. The ban comes in the wake of the deaths of at least 141 children in Gambia, Cameroon, and Uzbekistan, which were linked to Indian-made cough syrups. The regulator also verified that at least 12 children died and 4 others were left with severe disabilities in 2019 after consuming domestically made cough syrups. Drug companies whose cough syrups were linked to child deaths have denied any wrongdoing.
It's called Early Adolescent Skills for Emotions, or EASE. This is a new psychological intervention published by the World Health Organization and UNICEF to support adolescents in distress and their caregivers. Jeff Sanidad tells us more about the initiative.
1 in every 7 adolescents in the world experience mental health conditions. These conditions usually go unseen and untreated. In an effort to address the critical shortage of mental health care for adolescents who are experiencing distress, World Health Organization and UNICEF published EASE Psychological Intervention. It is designed to support kids aged 10 to 15 years old who experience distress and their caregivers. EASE addresses symptoms of depression, anxiety, and stress. It includes group sessions for adolescents focused on building skills to cope with distress, plus sessions for their caregivers to promote supportive parenting and assist the adolescents in practicing skills from psychoeducation to stress management, from behavioral motivation to problem solving. EASE is the 6th psychological intervention in a series of low-intensity intervention released by the Global Health Agency. It can be delivered by trained non-specialist helpers under the supervisions of mental health professionals. In Washington, D.C., Jeff Sanidad for Matanang Agila International. Trusted, connected, on point.
An Alabama woman with a rare double uterus has given birth twice to healthy twin girls in 2 separate days. Kelsey Hatcher and her husband Caleb welcomed baby Roxy Layla on Tuesday night and her sister Rebel Laken on Wednesday morning at the Birmingham Hospital. Hatcher described her babies as fraternal twins with rare separate births. Doctors said having a double uterus is a rare congenital anomaly that affects 0.3% of women. They added the odds of becoming pregnant with both uteri were even slimmer, or at 1 in a million chance.
Artificial intelligence helped 3 disabled musicians to perform a classical piece at a concert last week in Tokyo. They played Beethoven's 9th Symphony on an AI-assisted piano. Angel Membreri reports.
One of the 3 musicians, 24-year-old Kiwa Usami, has cerebral palsy. She has been playing since elementary school using 1 finger. At the concert, she rendered her performance on an instrument called Anybody's Piano. Developed by Japanese music giant Yamaha, the piano adds in whatever keys are needed but not pressed. Another of the performers has a rare muscle disease that had to perform from a bed stationed in front of the piano. The 3rd performer had been born with only 3 fingers on her right hand. Unlike more traditional autoplay, the Anybody's Piano stops if a player hits the wrong notes. Members of the 130-person audience described the performance as uplifting. Angel Membreri for Matanang Agila International. Trusted, connected, on point.
As the world pivots from planet-warming fossil fuels to renewable energy, a new pollution problem is rearing its head. What to do with old, worn-out solar panels? Thomas Alaiknes has that story.
With an expected lifespan of around 30 years, the first wave of solar installations is now coming to the end of its usefulness. This has sparked a rush to recycle panels that might otherwise end up in the landfill. Adam Sagay of Arizona-based We Recycle Solar says there will soon be a flood of these things that are being taken out of service.
We're seeing the first generation of solar panels now being recycled. What's exciting is we're at the forefront. What is about to happen is a tsunami of solar panels coming back into the supply chain.
Sagay says some of the panels his company receives have only minor damage or a slight defect. He says they can be repaired and put back into service. Often, these panels are sold to secondary markets.
Right now, we're finding sub 300 watt panels that are a great source of energy for community solar in South America, in Northern Africa, and some of the distressed areas where power is not readily available.
The really old panels that no longer work undergo what Sagay calls urban mining.
Some of the commodities and value recovery that we get is silver, copper, aluminum, glass, silicon. These are all resources that we can extract from solar panels.
He says his plant can process up to 7,500 panels a day, adding very little goes to waste. Thomas I. Likeness from Atanang Agila International. Trusted, connected, on point.
2024 vehicles from high-end automakers will get the first taste of Apple's cohesive design experience that is the marriage of your car and your iPhone. Tech giant Apple told customers that they would be making vehicle announcements tied to its next generation of wireless CarPlay by the end of 2023. And today it delivered mock-ups of its proposed dashboard spanning UI styled for Porsche and Aston Martin. Instead of simply taking over the infotainment center and small segments of the in-dash areas, it seeks to overhaul all displays of the given vehicle. The theme is distinct to each automaker and also gives CarPlay access to the vehicle's features like radio and temperature settings. In the Porsche setup, there's a 3-dial layout with a speedometer on the left and wallpaper made to match its houndstooth seat pattern. In the Aston Martin layout, there's a media display in the center, surrounded by the speedometer and tachometer, outlined in the brand's distinctive green. Aston Martin will support this infotainment system launching next year in cars like the DB12 and its convertible version, the DB12 Volante. Porsche's plans are less clear. However, Porsche said the integration of its systems will go one level further than existing setups with the launch of its all-electric Porsche Macan. Coming right up, a feline seafarer looks to make history in the Sydney-Hobart yacht race. Sir Jim Ratcliffe completes a deal to buy a quarter of Manchester United. And the American music world pays tribute to Laura Lynch of the Dixie Chicks. Catch more news and sports and entertainment when we return.
One goal, one dream. Road to Stokada. Monday to Friday, 5:30 p.m. to 6 p.m.
Let's get together. Sunday 25.
Sinusubaybayan nating mga kwentuhan kasama si Miss Corina Sanchez, nominado sa isang prestihiyosong parangal. Congratulations, Corina Interviews! Nominated as Best Talk Show Asian Television Awards. Ang hatid ninyong mga diskusyon at usapan ay patuloy na nagbibigay tuwa at inspirasyon sa bawat Pilipino. You make us proud, Canet 25.
Japan has used dogs and antennas to shepherd bears away from rural areas. This is after thousands of bears were being shot in Japan annually, developing into more of a problem. Pikyo Wildlife Research Center claimed that they have learned that it is possible to control and monitor bears' behavioral patterns. According to wild bear expert Junpei Tanaka, he and his team set barrel traps laid with honey to capture bears that start to lose their fear of humans. The captured bears are then fitted with a radio collar and then released. In a tandem, Tanaka's canine partner Rella is trained to sniff bears in the area. Meanwhile, Tanaka will have an antenna to triangulate the location of any nearby bears fitted with a radio collar. Japan's Environment Ministry data shows that 6,287 bears have died as of November 30, 2023.
クマは非常に個性が強い動物なので、その一頭一頭の動きを見極めながら対応していかないと、全く問題ないクマまでイメージだけで駆除されてしまうこともあります。ですので、一頭一頭できる限りですけど捕獲をして、でその後に発信機を取り付けてクマの行動を監視できるようにします。その上で一頭一頭の動きが見えてきますので、少し住み分けのために問題があるような行動をとっているクマは、また接近していって、ベアドッグとともに追い払うと。
Ranchers in the South American country of Colombia have made peace with a condo of condors in the Andes Mountains. In the northeastern part of the country, this world's largest bird of prey has not always been looked upon kindly by local residents. Carlo Valdez has the details.
Up until a few years ago, villagers would leave out poison carrion or shoot at them to scare off the scavengers seen as a threat to their livestock. But 4 years ago, a group of 19 families living high up in the moorlands of the Andes, a unique mountain ecosystem, formed an association to protect and boost appreciation of the bird. Now, residents have learned to build pens to protect their most vulnerable livestock and platforms in the mountains where they leave carrion for the winged giants. The group says its efforts are aimed at protecting and learning about the bird. It says condors attract a lot of people and could also have an economic benefit for the region. Condors used to feed on small animals, but human activity has chased away their usual prey and they have become dependent on livestock. The birds are considered vulnerable species with an estimated population of just 6,700 and decreasing. Carlo Valdez for Mata ng Agila International, trusted, connected, on point.
Ollie the cat is set to make history by participating in the Sydney to Hobart Yacht Race, an iconic Australian regatta that began in 1945. While the race has seen diverse competitors over the years, including media mogul Rupert Murdoch and cricket legend Michael Clarke, Ollie is expected to be the first feline entrant. Though there are no specific race rules prohibiting animals, cats are not typical participants in such sailing events. Ollie's owner, Bob Williams, is prepared for any potential challenges, asserting that Ollie can swim, having once ventured into the ocean to avoid a dog. As the man and cat duo embark on the race to Hobart, they aim to reach their destination in time for the New Year celebrations. The unconventional participant, Ollie, is expected to mark the occasion with a sip of milk on the rocks.
A U.S. federal appeals court has revived a child sexual exploitation lawsuit brought by Spencer Elton, the man who appeared naked as a 4-month-old on the cover of Nirvana's 1991 album, Nevermind. Spencer Elton's lawsuit against the grunge rock group alleges that he has suffered permanent harm as Nirvana and others profited from the image of him underwater in a swimming pool. While the lawsuit contends that the image violated federal laws on child sexual abuse material, no criminal charges were ever pursued. A federal judge in California initially dismissed the lawsuit last year, but permitted Elton to file a revised version. However, the judge later dismissed the revised version, citing it as outside the 10-year statute of limitations of one of the laws used as a cause of action. In a recent decision, a 3-judge panel of the 9th U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals in California overturned the previous ruling, sending the case back to the lower court. The appellate panel argued that each republication of the image may constitute a new personal injury with a new deadline, pointing to the appearance of the image on a 30th anniversary reissue of Nevermind in 2021. The Los Angeles Lakers ended a 4-game slide in a big way by defeating the Western Conference number 2 seeded Oklahoma City Thunder to close out what has been arguably LA's worst stretch of basketball this season. Vin Pascua has the score.
LeBron James had 40 points, 7 rebounds, and 7 assists to lead the Los Angeles Lakers to a 129-120 win over the Oklahoma City Thunder. The loss snapped the Thunder's 3-game winning streak and breathed new life into the Lakers team as they have been on a 4-day losing streak. Anthony Davis called the game a must-win as Lakers coach Darvin Ham tried to inject some life into his team by shuffling the starting lineup. Ham started Jared Vanderbilt and moved D'Angelo Russell to the bench. Russell hadn't come off the bench in the regular season since late in the 2020-21 season. Russell didn't come off the bench for the Lakers in Game 4 of last season's Western Conference Finals loss to Denver. Ham's move paid off as the Lakers scored 71 first-half points to lead by 12 at the half. Russell was far from the only Laker to get hot in the second as Los Angeles shot 63.6% from the floor in the quarter. The Thunder didn't go away easily as Shai Gilgeous-Alexander scored 15 of Oklahoma City's 32 third-quarter points. Davis finished with 26 points, 11 rebounds, and 7 assists, while Rui Hachimura added 21 points off the bench. Gilgeous-Alexander led Oklahoma City with 34 points. Jalen Williams had 28 points, while Holmgren added 19 points and 10 rebounds. The Lakers' elder superstar spoke about how important it was for the team to win a game against a top-seeded team after the way they had been playing recently.
Last time we came here on a tough back-to-back. Started the game out well, but we just lost energy, lost steam. So, us having a day in between our last game and us having, this was one of the first must-win games of the season for us. And we understand how well this team been playing, but we was able to play a really good game on the road to close the road trip out.
Reporting for Sports, Vin Pascua for Mata ng Agila International. Trusted, connected, on point.
Grayson Clothiers has not yet officially confirmed if Charlie Woods is their newest endorser. But many fans are speculating that Charlie and his dad, Tiger Woods, would announce the deal soon. This is after last week's report that Tiger would be leaving Nike, the brand he has collaborated with since the start of his golfing career in 1916. Many are guessing that Tiger would follow Charlie and soon partner with Grayson Apparel. Tiger and Charlie have been trending online since their game at the PNC Championship. Fans were gushing over Tiger's comeback and Charlie's incredible performance at the golf tournament. The father and son duo also stole the show as many people observed their similar mannerisms. Some sports analysts. Manchester United announced that UK billionaire Jim Ratcliffe has become a minority shareholder in their club. Ratcliffe is buying a 25% stake at a price of $33 per share of Manchester United. The deal would also make Ratcliffe control the soccer operations of the British club. He will also provide $300 million for future investment into the club's Old Trafford Stadium. Manchester United holds a record of 20-time league champions, but they have not won the title since former manager Alex Ferguson retired in 2013.
Scream 7 director Christopher Landon has confirmed he has exited the film, saying it was a dream job that turned into a nightmare. Landon shared the news on social media platform X, formerly Twitter, that his decision follows the controversial firing of Melissa Barrera and the departure of Jenny Ortega due to a scheduling conflict. Landon took over Scream 7 directorial duties earlier this year from the duo known as Radio Silence, as they reportedly chose to step back to focus on their Universal monster movie. Radio Silence, made up of Matt Bettinelli-Olpin and Tyler Gillett, led the 2022 reboot of Scream and Scream 6. On the other hand, Landon was the director behind We Have a Ghost, Happy Death Day, Freaky, and Paranormal Activity, the marked ones. After Barrera was fired, more than 1,300 actors and artists signed a letter condemning what they called censorship against speaking out on the persecution of Palestinians. In response to the firing, Landon said in a now-deleted post on X or Twitter, and I quote, "Everything sucks, stop yelling, this was not my decision to make." Laura Lynch, a founding member of the country music group The Dixie Chicks, died in a car crash in Texas. She was 65. The death was confirmed by Nicole Andres, a justice of the peace in the area. Miss Lynch of Fort Worth was driving east on Route 62 near Cornudas, Texas, about 70 miles east of El Paso, when a pickup truck that had been heading west crossed into her lane and struck her pickup truck head-on. She was pronounced dead at the scene. Lynch, a bassist, founded the Dixie Chicks, now known as the Chicks, in 1988 with Robin Lynn Macy and two sisters, Emily Strayer and Marty McGuire. She was replaced by Natalie Maines back in 1995. After leaving the Dixie Chicks, Miss Lynch became a public relations officer with the University of Texas Southwestern Medical Center in Dallas. The remaining Chicks members, Emily Strayer, Marty McGuire, and Natalie Maines, posted a tribute to Lynch on their Instagram channel. And to send you off tonight, here's a quote from the late Laura Lynch. "I may not be where I want to be, but if I stop now, I'll never get where I'm going."
It is so important to remember, especially as we're approaching the new year, that we all have our own timeline, not to pressure ourselves, comparing ourselves to other people. And the important thing is really that we don't give up.
Exactly. And I strongly believe in time and season. It's slow paced, it's fast paced, depending on who is dealing with life. So you just have to keep trusting and keep going.
Yes, you got this.
Believing you'll get there. Yes.
And that's a wrap for tonight's news. Catch the latest updates on our social media channels. I am Gianna Llanes.
I am Nina Richie Elago Flores. This is Mata ng Agila International. Trusted, connected, on point.
For choosing Mata ng Agila International, your trusted news source, connecting you to the world and on point with stories from around the globe. Follow, like, and subscribe to @Net25 TV.